boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
2023. Conor Benn told Piers Morgan that the WBC's explanation that he didn't intentionally take the clofamine, the trace amounts that were found were due to the consumption of eggs, was not something he agreed with, even though if he just let that be the narrative, he could have probably got back in the ring a lot sooner. And then you go down the jurisdiction argument. Can UKAD really penalise Conor for a violation that was caught by VADA and not them, even though both bodies were testing for the Conor Eubank fight where Conor got popped? The other debate is strict liability. Failed 2 tests. No matter how it got in Conor's system, it was there. It was definitely there. The National Anti-Doping Panel, they obviously read the dossier, the 50-plus page dossier, and in their opinion, he did not deliberately try to cheat. The WBC, they said Conor didn't deliberately cheat. They put it down to eggs. Conor said he didn't want to use that explanation, but basically, they gave him a pass as well. Simon Jordan, he can try to antagonize Frank Warren as much as he wants, use long words, but he doesn't work in a lab. I don't work in a lab. I don't want to see the dossier because even though I read and write at a relatively decent level, I'm going to be out of my depth on doping protocol and terminology. It's just what it is. And so would you. If you're honest, you don't need to see the dossier, right? Public don't need to see it. Simon Jordan doesn't need to see it. The board and UKAD are in a little situation though, because this is the second time the National Anti-Doping Panel has batted them down. Second time. They're saying you cannot prove any wrongdoing from Conor Benn. And the British Boxing Board of Control do not like the way they're batting them down. Right now, it's not even a contest between Conor Benn and UKAD and the board. He's becoming a pawn in something else. I don't know what that something else is.
He's free to fight.
We had said that he's free to fight, but this is my thing, Simon. This is where I'm at with it right now. So I say, if that is the case, and he is cleared to fight, and they say he's cleared of any wrongdoing, now that's a strong statement, any wrongdoing, because you go, now, where does that leave UKAD and the British Boxing Board of Control? That's why we need to hear from them.
Now, UKAD, they've came out, and this is directly from UKAD. Professional boxer Conor Benn has made public comments today regarding the outcome of proceedings before the independent National Anti-Doping Panel. UKAD can confirm that it received the decision of the independent National Anti-Doping Panel this afternoon. The panel concluded that it was not comfortably satisfied that UKAD had proved that Mr. Benn had committed an anti-doping rule violation for the use of clomiphene. The provisional suspension has been lifted.
So the judge said dismiss this.
Now, the British Boxing Board of Control, they need to get a tight alibi together. That's why we haven't heard anything from them. Because despite what Wally Downs in the Sun newspaper is saying that Conor hasn't really been cleared. Okay, the question then is, why are UKAD and the board coming up with totally different accounts compared to the NAPD, the National Anti-Doping Panel? What's happening?
Why is that?
The attention almost, in my opinion anyway, goes away from Conor Benn to UKAD and the board. What are you looking for? What are you trying to prove? Why are they saying you're failing to satisfy them that he deliberately tried to cheat the system? And here's the thing, yeah? If they don't do that, they could be potentially open to lawsuits. And they won't be nice lawsuits, because Conor has a lot of money in lost earnings, the Eubank fight, subsequent fights after that, etc.
Conor Benn has been fully cleared of any wrongdoing in a full NAPD hearing. And when idiots say, with zero knowledge, now he's served his silent ban, there has been no silent ban. He has not been found guilty. He has been fully cleared of any wrongdoing. Do not sit there and say, how convenient, he served his ban, now he can fight. There has been no ban. The other line, they didn't even look into it, it was probably jurisdiction. Wrong. This is a full hearing. Conor Benn has been fully cleared of any wrongdoing.
How many times have I tried to explain this now? On the Hangout yesterday, I was explaining it. A silent ban, there is no record in the public or media of test results of the supposed athlete on a silent ban. You don't know about the ban. That's why it's a silent ban. There was no silent ban. He hasn't been cleared on jurisdiction according to Eddie Hearn. Wally Downs, I don't know if he's got a beef with Eddie Hearn. I haven't got a clue. Yeah, technically, the board can come out and appeal again, but how much appeals do they have? How many appeals do you need? It's a little embarrassing for them. They wanted Conor to submit that he was guilty. He refused to do it. Conor said, no, I'm not guilty. He believed it was contamination at one stage. You know, what's Robert Smith going to do? How is he going to address it? Is he going to submit to Conor Benn that he was wrong and he accepts the National Anti-Doping Ruling's decision that Conor's done nothing wrong? That's going to be humiliating. So they're going to have to take their time, go through all the legal crap if there's any room for another appeal, any justification for another appeal, and what's really going to change with another appeal. The National Anti-Doping Panel surely are not going to come down from their position where they've cleared Conor twice. On the BBC website, it says there's 21 days to appeal. UKAD cannot release the details of the National Anti-Doping Panel's decision without Conor Benn's consent at this time. But they're saying a key issue at the heart of Benn's case was the drug tests were conducted by the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, VADA, and paid for by Benn's promoter, Matchroom Boxing, and not by UKAD. And I guess that is an issue, that UKAD tested Benn and came up with nothing. So even though Eddie's saying jurisdiction is not why Conor got off, that might not be 100% true. Although in 2018, the board did point out that Billy Joe Saunders was not in breach of British Boxing Board of Control or UKAD anti-doping regulations after testing positive in Massachusetts for a decongestant nasal spray that was deemed permitted to be used out of competition by UKAD, but not by VADA. And that scrapped the fight between Andrade and Saunders. Even though the board said Billy was cleared of any violations according to them and UKAD, it scrapped the fight. And it also told us they don't recognise VADA testing. So what changed in Conor Benn's situation is the question. Now, obviously, they're going to say, according to UKAD, you can use it out of competition. But when is out of competition? It surely can't be when Billy's being tested in the run-up to a world title fight. That surely has to be in competition. Shortly after Conor got popped, some 4 years later, after Billy Joe Saunders' situation, Frank Smith from Matchroom, he said, I think now it's time for the British Boxing Board of Control to look at their regulations and make it clearer. If they decide that any VADA testing moving forward will be accepted by the British Boxing Board of Control, and that as a rule, as of today, then everyone understands that. It's just that the normal or standard process was not followed in this instance. And what's the normal standard process? They don't recognise VADA testing. Look, I don't want to beat up on the board, but it's something they've got to address, and it's got to be consistent. Either you recognise VADA or you don't. Eddie Hearn let it slip that Conor Benn will be in Philly, where on Saturday at the Wells Fargo, Boots Ennis will be defending his welterweight title against Karen Kurkadzian. And I'm wondering, if Boots wins, does Conor get in that ring? And do we get the big announcement that Boots Ennis will be defending his IBF 147-pound title against Conor Benn? Perhaps in the Wells Fargo. Perhaps Boots comes over here. Perhaps Riyadh season. Who knows? Eubank Jr. will be screwed if that happens. We'll wait and see.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Weight manipulation, different to weight bullying. I'm not keen on it. KEYSHAWN is a 135-pounder. Not the last time, I actually saw the Miguel Madueno highlights. It wasn't a great fight. But the Pedraza fight, yeah, I saw Pedraza. All 35 years of Pedraza, squeeze him back down to 135 to fight KEYSHAWN Davis. Pedraza hadn't fought at lightweight since 2019. The KEYSHAWN fight was in February of this year. TKO in the 6th. A few of us questioned why he came back down to 135, but he has his reasons. Probably financial. KEYSHAWN really beat him up bad. This time around, we've got the curious case of Gustavo Daniel Lemos, who last time out fought Richardson Hitchens at 140. An IBF eliminator, meaning there was a rehydration clause, 10-pound rehydration clause. There was no talk of the Argentinian struggling to make the weight, and he gave the Brooklyn kid a really tough fight. A fight that a lot of people thought he won. First loss of his career, he's now 29-1-0, 28 years of age. The person who complained about making the weight and the rehydration clause was Richardson Hitchens, saying he barely ate, making a pitch of why he didn't perform impressively. LEMOS. He agreed to fight KEYSHAWN tomorrow at 135. It's not a weight that he's uncommon fighting at. He fought Lee Selby at 135, but his last couple of fights have been at 140. He's solid muscle. Why would he come down to 135 to fight KEYSHAWN? KEYSHAWN don't have no world title. But if KEYSHAWN thought he was getting an advantage fighting a drained fighter, well, you could throw that out the window. Looks like the Argentinian is trying a little hustle here, isn't it? He came in 6 pounds over the contracted weight for the fight, 135. Christine Poncher asked, was this part of the strategy? She asked the Argentinian. LEMOS was trying to get away from this situation as quick as possible, and whatever was translated amounted to, I'm here to fight, I'm ready to fight. And that's that. No explanation, seemingly unapologetic about the whole thing. KEYSHAWN would be justified to call the fight off, but he is headlining at Norfolk, and there's going to be a big crowd there. And like Steve Kim tweeted, seems like LEMOS didn't even try to make weight versus Keyshawn Davis. Again, just my opinion, but here's where the guy who makes the sacrifice and follows the rules is now put at a competitive disadvantage. LEMOS and his team know that with those big ticket sales in Norfolk, there is no way Top Rank or Davis is pulling the plug on this card. This has now become a bit of a tactic in modern day boxing. If the sport was serious, they'd suspend LEMOS for a year after this fight on Friday night. Can't argue with none of that. When KEYSHAWN was asked what he thought about his opponent coming in so heavy, he said he was pleased. I know I'm going to get some extra money. I already thought this was a tough fight. Gave LEMOS an outside shot. We'll see how it goes. LEMOS wants to knock KEYSHAWN out. The fact he's willing to forfeit how much ever thousands of pounds for coming in over the weight, he wants to knock KEYSHAWN out. He knows full well forfeiting a few £1,000s to get the victory. He'll have his name in lights at 135 and will be surrounded by lucrative fights at the weight class. One of the more sneaky bitch boy tactics in boxing. It has to be said. I'm not a fan of it. 6 pounds, you know, 2-3 pounds, okay, miscalculation perhaps, but 6.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Eddie Hearn has said that you're going to be doing the co-promotional shows now that you've aligned with DAZN.
Unless George has spoken to him, I haven't spoken to him about that, but I have no problem in doing that.
George Warren doesn't really deal with the camera, but he's doing a lot of work. This co-promotional Matt from Queensbury thing, they didn't just come up with that today. George Warren and Eddie have been building, if you like, even before Riyadh season came in and demanded they work together. Co-promotional shows is not 5 versus 5. That's a separate thing. These are just going to be regular cards where they combine Queensbury and the Matchroom stable to make shows. And I believe that's going to be a necessity with the amount of promoters under the DAZN banner right now. Duco, Salita, Universum, GBM, Saulin's Misfits. I don't see Al Heyman making the cut at DAZN. I don't see it. But Top Rank, I don't see them abandoning ESPN. But they can do the ESPN thing in America and do the DAZN deal for the rest of the world. That's a distinct possibility. They also spoke about Matchroom fighters, just if there's a good slot on a Queensbury card, they'll be on a Queensbury card and vice versa. So it's all very you help me, I help you right now. That upsets a lot of people in the media. It's upsetting a lot of people. I don't know what to say. Like, it looks like it's going to be one big family over there. It won't be just Queensbury and Matchroom doing co-promotions. Obviously, you're probably going to get things like maybe a Universum, Salita Promotions. I don't know what the state of Oscar and Bob's relationship is right now, but yeah, Golden Boy, Top Rank cards, and why not? Maybe a Universum, Salita Promotions, Collabo, Duco Promotions, and GBM. As long as the content is continually being produced, that's all what the executives care about. So 2025, there's a lot of expectation for 2025. Let's just say that. There'll be a lot of midweek cards and Friday cards. There'll have to be, because they were talking about 150 fight nights a year. Today I heard it went up to 190. It's only 52 weeks in a year. But let's see if Turkey, Al Sheikh and DAZN can produce a better year than this year. This year was a pretty good year.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.